Hello guys and welcome, my name is Craig and this is To The Garage and Beyond. Today's project is a 2007 Ford F350. It's got the 6-liter Power Stroke diesel engine in it. When I picked it up, the owner said that the mechanic shop said that it needed a head gasket. The coolant reservoir, which is just right there, is empty. It's got no coolant in it. So I was suspecting to have a hydro-locked engine. I picked it up in March of 21, somewhere around there, and I haven't been able to touch it. Or I bought it in March of 21. I didn't remove it off of, move it out from where I bought it for a couple of months, and then I moved it to where I store my trailer at, and then I went from there, and finally I brought it here. And so that's just way too much information, but anyways, I haven't had time to work on it yet. I've thrown batteries in it and it started up, so it'll start up after a while of cranking. It takes a while to build up pressure, but it will start up. It will run and drive. I haven't done a whole lot of that because there seems to be no coolant in the reservoir, so I don't know how much coolant is in the system. So I definitely don't want to ruin it, but I'm going to try and diagnose it to see what's wrong with it first before I go put coolant into it, because I don't want to hydro-lock the engine. So yeah. All right. So this is the engine. It's a 6-liter Power Stroke turbo diesel. Yep. So the problem is that there is no coolant in the reservoir. Empty. So if there's no coolant in the reservoir, then you'd suspect to see coolant possibly in the oil. So here's a dipstick for the oil, and the oil is as black as can be, and it doesn't smell like coolant, it just smells like oil. So those are two good, well, that there is at least one good sign. I'm hoping that it means that this is not a head gasket, but it is losing coolant through the engine. So we'll do a diagnostic here in a little bit to see if I can't figure out if it's a head gasket or if it's an EGR. Crossing fingers and hoping it's the EGR. Alright guys, I've been looking at this and we've had it running for plus an hour. After the 2-hour mark, we decided to go take it around the block. It is hot. Coolant's hot. It's there. We're not getting any bubbles. The little bit of bubbles that was here, I think we were working the coolant out of the air pocket out of here. See? I don't know if that's because it doesn't have enough coolant in the system or what. Now, the only thing I've actually been able to pinpoint is when I got the truck, the coolant level in the reservoir was low. It actually wasn't even there. So running it around, besides trying a few other tests where I go get an actual gauge, pressure gauge to put on this side, I don't see anything wrong with the truck, except for there's a crack in the radiator up top. Let's see if I can't get that to there. Starts there and comes over here, and yeah, it's about the thing I can see the most is that there's a radiator crack. So I'm starting to wonder if somebody said that it was losing coolant. I don't see anything coming out of the exhaust. and if they just thought that the truck had a blown head gasket. I know it's had work on it, but I can still see the factory head. It looks like a head bolt. It's not a head stud down there. Don't know if this will pick up on it. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pick that up. Down a little bit more. Ring over. Right there. Right there. Still got a factory head bolt there. So I'm going to say that it's still obviously unstudded. But I don't see anything that's leading me to believe that it really is a head gasket or an EGR. So I'm thinking it might just be a bad radiator. Somebody saw that there was low coolant and just jumped the gun and thought that it was a bad head gasket. So I don't know. Interesting development. This took all the coolant. Interesting. Well, I don't know. My neighbors hate me. Alright, pedals down a good deal. Was not recording that at all.
Seriously?
Seriously. That stinks. It's recording now. The nice thing about video editing is you can edit some stuff out. This is a stretch I did with Phil.
Wow. This thing.
Alright, there's a crack in the radiator right where you saw it. So, alright guys, so I'm going to give you guys a little bit of context because we're going to go jumping ship from looking for a blown head gasket to cleaning my fuel tank on this truck. So the question is, how did that happen and how did we get there? So I had on the ropes a flatbed for sale, and no, scratch that. I knew a guy that had a flatbed for sale, and I was going to run out and pick up the flatbed. It was 45 minutes away from where I was working on the truck, but I was like, alright, you know, like, we can do this, maybe. So me and my brother-in-law got into the vehicles. He drove that truck, the 6.0, and then I drove my truck Hill. And we started running down the road, running down the interstate. He got probably about 7 minutes on the interstate, and then next thing I notice, I see flashers on, and he's pulling over to the side of the road. And so I pull up right behind him, and he gets out of the truck and he walks up to me, and he says the truck ran out of power, and it wouldn't go, and it died on him. And it's like, okay, well, try and like at least roll it. We were on a incline, the back side of it. I was like, at least try and like roll it down the road a little bit farther, because we're right at the edge, the crest, right where the crest is. So like, if there's a loop, we're right here, so there's traffic's coming over the loop, and they couldn't see us. So I was like, let's get down the road a little bit farther. He gets us started. He takes the exit, because we're right there by an exit. We get off. I'm just following him. He gets into the parking lot, and we're sitting there, and we're like, okay, what's going on? Seems to run fine. Getting off the interstate seemed to be just fine. Okay, this is weird. So we're just sitting around looking at it, thinking about it, Matt running. And I was like, all right, let's swap trucks. We swap trucks. I grab that truck, and I drive it down the road. And it's doing really good, picking up, going fast. I mean, that truck runs really, really, really well. Running down the road. All that to be said is I start going up an incline, and then I get over the incline. As I'm going up, just about near the end of it, I start losing power. I get over it, it dies. I throw it in neutral. I fire it up as I'm rolling, and I'm trying to get over lanes. And I get it off, and I get into another parking lot. I'm like, this is weird. Get into the parking lot, it's running, kind of rough, and I park it. I'm like, okay, I'm not dealing with this. I'm gonna grab my trailer.
Well, I realized that Hill, which is my personal truck, the one that I drive all the time, had a broken leaf spring, and I was like, yeah, let's not go grab my gooseneck trailer and then try and put 7,000 pound trailer truck on the trailer. So we tried it again, and I'm like, where can I take this? Because I'm kind of like in between everything. I can't take it back to the shop. It's far. Is there anything closer than the shop that I could just grab a whole mess of tools and then get out to the truck and work on? So I was like, yeah, let's go to my church parking lot. So started heading that way. All that there being said, I finally took the scan gauge and I put it on. I was like, all right, let's see. So I'm running this up and down the street. It's really funny because I went up and down a back road like 3 or 4 times with a truck, and it ran fantastic. And as soon as I told my brother-in-law, I was like, yeah, let's just send it. Let's just try and get down. I barely make it out of that back road, and it dies on me again. And I'm like, this sounds like fuel. So we get it into another parking lot, and I'm like, all right, let's take the fuel tank off. So he took the sending unit off, and he's like, yeah, we got floaters. So if you look inside the fuel tank, it was just jam-packed of peeled paint. And the pickup tube broke, and we tried, like, maybe we can just run it down the road. We're not even like a mile away. We're probably maybe a mile away from my church parking lot. I'm like, we might be able to get it there. It never made it. It just, the pickup tube was gone, and it shouldn't have been dried, and that's why it's so jam-packed. Everything was just jam-packed from that pickup tube all the way up to the first filter on the frame rail. All right, with that being said, all right, I think I found the problem of why this truck would not run. I'm in the fuel tank right now. The fuel tank. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, just look at that. It's just covered with paint. So I'm going to have to clean this, but it's 7 right now. So I'm just going to leave that and get back to it tomorrow, I think. Maybe not, I don't know. Alright, cleaned it out, and that's what the tank should look like. No silver flakes on it. I'm looking at the wall. It looks like it's going to give me a problem later on, but we'll get there. So, I don't know. See, I can't fit you down there. I was going to try and fit you guys down there. Looks like from half the seam down, will you focus? Half of the seam there. Yeah. From that halfway where the tanks was put together, that's where all the paint peeled. Alright guys, you're kind of upside down right now. So I pulled off the sending unit because I figured I could clean there we go. I figured I could clean this portion out, because this is where the pickup tube should be. And I'm gonna have to clean the entire line, I think, from here, both filters, all the way up to the engine. And then I just noticed this, and I don't know if you can see that, but that is just packed full of that paint. Come on, focus. Yep, just packed full of this paint. I've got all my shop rags right here and cleaned out. So I'm going to assume that the tank, the rest of the lines might have this amount of stuff in it. So whenever I get to it, it just keeps coming out. Whenever I get to it, I'll just disconnect this again. This is the feed line, and then put an air hose to the other end, and then open up a gap on the other side, and hopefully be able to blow a whole bunch of this stuff out. But yeah, there's just a whole bunch of stuff here. Looking for a rag that I can like put this down into, see how much comes out. Alright, just blowed it out, and look at all that. I'm trying to show you guys. Look at that. That was all in that line. No wonder why this thing wouldn't run. So there's a little pickup tube piece that goes right here. It's about yay long. My first video I replaced this on my 7.3 truck. So I'm gonna order another one. You can find them on Amazon. I called my local Napa store. They said they couldn't get it, so I'll go with I'll go to Amazon and order it. Hopefully it'll be here not too long. So I might end up, if I don't have this, the tank should be clean. If I don't have this before I put the flatbed on, I might end up cutting out the hole right over this on the flatbed, above the flatbed where it's going to be above. Cut this all out so you could access this again, just so next time, so I could put it on, because yeah, it might be a while. Alright, I'm just gonna go reinstall this. I'll take a look at this line. I don't really have any plans of doing anything else. It's like it's 19:16 right now, so all things considered, it'll be 19:30 before I get inside the house and get clean. And it's a work night, so not really interested in spending the whole rest of the night outside. I think that is way too high. I think that this is a return line, maybe. I know that a couple of these trucks came with dual. They came with dual tanks. You could. I think maybe even now you can still get dual tanks for these trucks. So I think that might be what it is. There's an arrow right here. So I'll line that arrow up with the arrow that's on the tank. And then I'm going to put it back together, and that should be it. At least the tank's clean. I can put some clean, fresh diesel into the tank, and then we can start working our way from the tank forward. We'll do the fuel lines. Then we'll do the fuel line between here and then the rail filter, the fuel line, the fuel filter that's on the rail. And then I'll go from the fuel filter on the rail. Once that's cleaned, then the fuel filter to the engine. Once that's cleaned, this truck should be ready to go, I think. I have a radiator to put into it. It has a small crack on top of the radiator. So I'll put the radiator into it, and then I'm hoping that this will be the rest of what's wrong with this truck. I'm trying to make this all one video, but it's been like 2 months at least. I've owned the truck for over a year now, and I just started working on it a couple months ago. So I'm assuming that this video is going to get really long very quickly. So in that case, I'll probably do 2 videos. And I don't really need to be talking this much because I can let you guys know that some other way. But this might be the halfway point of where we're at. Alright, I just wanted to show this. This is everything that I wiped out of the fuel tank. Yeah, this one doesn't, I think this one does not look too bad. That must have been like the last one. You can see, I mean, just look, flakes
there, there. More flakes right here. I mean, that was that's really bad. They're paint flakes. The fuel tank. Yep. That's part of the pickup tube. That one's not too bad. I mean, just look at that. Look at that. My goodness. I should most definitely cut a hole in the flatbed, because this is not going to be the last time that tank needs to be cleaned.
Alright guys, so my end result. This 6 liter with the blown head gasket, which is what I was told, didn't ever show any signs of a blown head gasket. It showed signs of fuel starvation and a cracked radiator. So everything I did to that truck is I cleaned the fuel tank, I changed out the radiator, put a new one in, and I cleaned it out. That's pretty much it. The window I was using in my truck, so I bought a new window for my truck, Hill, and I put that truck window that was in Hill back into that 6.0. So that's why it's got that weird tarp on it the first time. But other than that, the truck starts up amazing. It sounds like a brand new truck. I mean, of course, I don't know what a 6 liter sounds like, you know, brand new. But I mean, as far as all 6 liters go, it sounds great when it fires up. So it was a great truck, great buy. Yeah. So hopefully it will get plenty of good use and work really well for the next, let's see, it's what, 14 years old, so the next 14 years.